Alright. What's really going on in Bitcoin cryptocurrency today? I'm going to be taking a look at Cardano, ADA, against USDT. Going to be taking a look at some of these key technical aspects of price action moving forward. Going to be assessing some of the pivotal areas of support and resistance I believe we're going to be interacting with in the very near future here. Let me know in the comments down below. Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Do you trade? Do you hold? Or do you let the price action unfold? What are you doing with your bag? If you have one, do you trade Cardano? Are you accumulating at these levels? Do you think we've found support and we're likely to recover, enter that, multi-dollar plus range that we came from in the not so distant past? Or do we have more downside ahead of us and support has yet to be found and we have some more, lows or phases of accumulation, in the kind of trend in the near future? Let me know your thoughts on the direction of price action moving forward. Now, jumping right into it. To kind of recap, price action that has interacted with this ascending trend line since the good old COVID crash in the middle of March of 2020. We have price action interacting with this ascending trend line here with both as support and resistance, in addition to interaction with critical kind of horizontal levels. Price action becomes more relevant when we consider this pretty much the kind of year since sort of like January here, the 6th of January, we have price action getting rejected off of that ascending trend line, interacting with it as resistance, sending it toward this kind of key level around 25 cents. Price action bounce got rejected again off of this ascending trend line on the 17th of January, printed a higher low relative to that 25-cent support. Price action was bullish enough to plow all the way through that potential resistance around 37 cents to get back above the ascending trend line there to get us into this kind of upper range that we've been sort of what appears to be like consolidating in. I do believe this is a very aggressive range of sideways with kind of lows to potentially kind of this 93 cents all the way to that very euphoric swing high of $2.47. And so price action since that kind of break upward of that ascending trend line on the beginning of February, we've entered this very aggressive, overbought kind of FOMO-filled section of aggressive, bottoms being bought that causes these pumps, but very abrupt resistance causes some very aggressive pullbacks. And so this combination of sort of aggressive buy and sell pressure has caused price action to be quite sideways. And so we do have price action interacting with this $1.38 to $1.48 as resistance on the 27th of February, the kind of 18th of March, and then again on the 15th of April, we have several rejections off of that range, sending price action to find support within this sort of lower zone. Around 93 cents to about kind of $1.08 as a kind of potential support if price action kind of comes down to it. So after those kind of three sort of bounces and support found off of this lower zone here around $1, we eventually rallied through all that resistance around $1.48 to set those $2.48 kind of swing highs there. But an abrupt change in momentum occurred and price action broke downward, sending it plummeting toward that ascending trend line to potentially find support. We have price action bounce aggressively to attempt to interact with this critical zone of resistance again on the kind of like between the 20th of May and sort of like the 9th of June. Then we have this break downward on the 18th of June from that ascending trend line to quickly interact with that lower zone around $1 again. But we've recovered very aggressively, and price action seems to have re-entered this very crucial range of what has been support and resistance between kind of $1.38 and kind of $1.48. And so price action in a very critical state at the moment. We could be very much so slapped down from this potential thick resistance and send price action to find potential support around this kind of $1 range with maybe lows of like 93 cents. Although we could very much find support along perhaps $1.38 to find a way above 148 to maybe interact with the underside of that ascending trend line. Price action looking a tad bullish fundamentally, although we are interacting with some very high technical sell pressure at the moment. So a very volatile price action, I do believe, is ahead of us. When we consider EngineeringRobo, along with the fettuccine lines of zucchinis, bikinis, martinis, and Lamborghinis, we can see a new perspective coming into play here. Potential support at this kind of more bullish target. The 0.5 Fibonacci level could be a area that we bounce from. Say we get rejected from this area of resistance above $1.38. Potential support could be found at the 0.5 line at $1.24, which would be a more bullish area of support relative to that kind of $1 zone. Significant resistance just above my range here at the 0.618 level. $1.53 is going to be another target that perhaps slaps us back down toward potential support. Price action a tad bearish at the moment with the EngineeringRobo sell 4 on the kind of 19th of May there, suggesting some increased sell pressure at the moment. Although price action is above that 200 daily moving average, giving us some long-term support in the kind of trend upward, giving us some, suggesting there is some buy pressure present still. And so, like I've kind of said, there is a very high conflict of buy and sell pressure present at the moment. Fundamentally, Cardano is quite bullish, and there's a very high demand for Cardano at these levels, but we seem to be quite overbought, and there is very high sell pressure. And so, perhaps some more sideways or more accumulation might be necessary. Perhaps a break downward could be necessary, a dip to buy before the price action can get the momentum to kind of get back up to where we came from. But now, a new perspective comes into play when we consider Cardano against Bitcoin. We can see a new perspective here, price action interacting with this very aggressive range. I believe potential support that if we are bearish enough to come all the way down to will be around this 3090 Soshi level. Price action interacting with what appears to be potential resistance at this kind of point in time. We seem to be in a kind of thick zone of price action here. We could find support and continue upward, or we could get rejected downward. This does seem to be a kind of critical area. Price action, new perspective comes into play when we consider the fettuccine lines of zucchinis in addition to EngineeringRobo. We can see this 0.786 Fibonacci line at kind of 40.59 Satoshi there as potential support currently under price action at current levels. And so say we find support at that level, we could very much be bullish enough to come up to this top of the range at 54 Satoshi. Kind of bounce in between there before we can find support. Say we are bearish enough to fall through the 0.786, that 0.618 could catch us before my support level. The 0.618 at 32.76 Satoshi is going to be a tad more bullish if we are bearish enough to get down to it. Price action above the 200 daily moving average against the price of Bitcoin, giving us some more signs of buy pressure and more bullishness in the kind of midterm here. We could be a tad short-term bearish enough to come all the way down to interact with it and potentially bounce off of it as support. That does seem to be correlating with a key range kind of around sort of that 2397 Satoshi. Seems to be a significant area of support if we are bearish enough to kind of plummet through potential support at the 0.618. My support level at 3097 Satoshi, and that 0.5 Fibonacci line at 2723 Satoshi. And so there's definitely a price action in a pivotal state at the moment. There is, room for upside here and room for downside. So we'll have to see kind of how price action interacts with this very key 0.786 Fibonacci level kind of moving forward. Now, price action, very volatile against Bitcoin. But when we consider Bitcoin against USDT, we can see a new perspective come into play. Price action interacting with this ever so critical pivotal level, that 0.5 fettuccine line at $34,318 per Bitcoin is going to be a very, very, very critical level moving forward, and is going to be the kind of key short-term indicator of bullishness or bearishness moving forward for price action. I do believe we could very well get slapped back down to potential support at 32K. Although, if we recover and find our way above the 0.5 again, we could be bullish enough to reach up to that 0.618, which is going to be, not too far away, but a very hefty amount of resistance and sell pressure is waiting for us up at that level. Price action on the 15th of June got close to it and exhausted and got slapped all the way back down to kind of where we currently are. A tad short-term bearish at the moment, as we are currently technically beneath the 0.5 level, so resistance is present just above us, and we could get slapped toward, like I said, potential support at 32K. These wicks on the 22nd and 26th of June are, a tad short-term bearish in my opinion, suggesting, some significant support will have to be found at this 32K level. I do believe before we can kind of start expecting the uptrend to recover. Say we fail to hold a 32K, I can still be long-term bullish at 0.382 Fibonacci level at 27,100. We can even be still bullish if we find ourselves in the teens and the low 20s. I'm always long-term bullish on Bitcoin, and I do believe finding price levels back at those ranges to allow for another phase of accumulation from the kind of euphoric highs that we came from, I do believe would be very healthy for the trend kind of moving upward, and would allow for price action to, I believe, set some higher highs. Although a bottom is approaching, I do believe we are very fundamentally bullish, and there's a very high demand for Bitcoin at these levels. Some very high technical sell pressure is present. Price action below the 200 daily moving average. Sell 4 against USDT here. EngineeringRobo a tad bearish. Very high technical sell pressure, but very high fundamental buy pressure. So, it's lots going on. Lots of volatile ups and downs in this FUD-filled, moments in crypto here. Now, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for hearing my analysis. Try EngineeringRobo free with a link in the description. Subscribe. here on YouTube. Check out all the other social media down below. Let me know what you're doing with your bag, if you have one. Are you accumulating in these lows? Do you think we found support? Are you, you bullish on price action? Are we going to recover vertically, all-time highs, or around the corner? Or are you bearish? Do you think we're going to plummet down to the teens, the 20s, or straight to zero? What are your thoughts on the direction of price action moving forward during this FUD-filled section of months in crypto here? Thank you for tuning in, and tune in for the next one.